It's one thing to be good at talking, it is another thing to be good at communication and conversation. I am a conversationalist. I love a good conversation. I love talking to people. I love, well, not everybody, because some people are just not good conversationalists. They're not good at communication. And every time I wonder why. Why aren't you good at communication? It isn't necessarily the tone that they use when they're talking, but more of how they present their questions, their opinions, and how invested they seem to sound in the conversation. I love a good conversation. I love communication. It's one of the most important aspects of life. It happens in our relationships, it happens when we network, it happens with our colleagues, with our families, with ourselves. We talk to ourselves the most out of every single person in the world. So why aren't you good at communication? I was bad at communication. I went through a phase where I didn't want to talk to anybody, like anybody around me. I would grunt and gesture and point. It was a trying time really for the people around me, but now I'm better. So here's what I had to learn to be good at communicating. It was a very important lesson. We've all heard the phrase, listen more than you speak. And it's very easy to hear things. We all hear advice and words of wisdom and scribbles and snippets. But do we actually take the advice? That's the question. Listen more than you speak is very, very true when it comes to communications and communicating. Why? Because you need to hear what someone has to say to formulate a response. Unless you're the first speaker, even as the first speaker, you have to talk, take a pause, listen to what the other person has to say, and then respond. If you're not listening, what are you going to respond to? The only people that talk abstractly, I'm using the word abstractly because I don't know what word to use in that case scenario, but the only people that talk abstractly are, I would say, narcissists. Just keep talking and talking and talking about themselves or about their point of view. You want to listen. And it's not bad to speak more than you listen, I have to say. I think sometimes we confuse the quotes listen more than you speak to don't speak at all. Nobody's saying don't speak, just say listen. Listen to what other parties have to say. Reason their points of views, reason their perspectives. Listen more than you speak. It's more in a sense of pay attention. Don't just talk because you can talk. It's communication, it's a conversation. It's a conversation because there are two parties involved, not because it's just you. So you got to listen more than you speak. And like I said, communication requires more than one party. Although you can talk to yourself, but mind you, when you talk to yourself or your subconscious, it replies you back, so there are two parties. That's how I like to think about it anyway. If you're communicating with me, if you're talking to me, if we're having a conversation, I want to believe that there are two of us in it, not just myself and not just you. I don't want to be on the receiving end of your questions without being able to give back questions. I don't want to be on the receiving end of your opinions without being able to give you my opinions. And I also don't want you to be on the receiving end of my questions without bringing forth questions to me. It's a two-way run. And that's the best way I will explain it. It is a very big two-way run. When I talk to my friends, when I talk to people around me, we bounce off each other. It's a communication. I don't just want to be asking all the questions and you're giving me responses like a robot. No, I want you to interject. I want you to ask your questions. I want you to speak to me. I want to bounce off you. I'm not saying be rude or be nonsensory when I'm talking. I'm saying that I don't want to be the only person having the conversation because you're in front of me or I'm talking to you. I'm talking to a group of people. I want response. I want body language. I want questions and answers and oh, I thought it was like this. No, it's like this. I want interjectories within our conversation. That's what makes conversations fun. I think a lot of people don't enjoy conversations because they don't find it interesting. I love a good conversation, and there are some people that I do not speak to because I don't find them interesting when I talk to them. So I talk to them rarely. I talk to them once in a while, but there are people I have conversations with. We bounce off each other, and it's a very interesting way of communicating. So communicating is more than one party. It takes two or more, or three to four. It takes a lot of people, nobody wants to feel like the sole party when they're communicating. That was something I had to learn. Everybody wants to feel like they are having a good conversation with the opposite person or with the people they are talking to. So think about that. Think about the fact that you may be the sole party when you're giving conversations, or you may be making someone the sole party. You're making them ask the questions, making them answer the questions. You're not bringing forth your opinions, and nobody wants to be a one-trick wonder. Another very important thing I learned when it came to communicating and how to be a good communicator was how to ask. The word ask is very, very important when you want to communicate with someone, because when you don't know something, assumptions tend to mislead you. You want to present your best foot forward and you do not know how to do that. Ask your question. Ask a question. So you said that meteors are rocks. Why do you think they're rocks? Ask your question. You don't know anything about space. I don't know anything about space. I really don't. Why did I choose meteors as my question? I don't know. You want to ask, okay? That's my major point here. You want to ask. Asking goes a very long way. People would rather you ask than for you assume what they're saying, or for you to pretend like you understand, because when they find out that you actually don't understand, it's more hurtful, because it feels you're just pretending or giving them a pity conversation for the sake of it. You want to be a good communicator? Ask. If you don't feel comfortable asking the person that you're actively talking to at that time, you could always go back and research, or you could find someone that you're comfortable talking to and ask them if they have any idea on so topic. It is a good thing. Asking goes a very long way. And when you ask, I assure you, you will find the answers that you're looking for. Ask and you shall receive. It's in the Word of God. So ask your questions. Ask people what you want them to tell you. It's not a bad thing to ask questions when you're communicating. Nobody expects you to be a know-it-all. Nobody does. So ask your questions. Ask your questions. Okay? Research. Extensive research is always a very great plus when you want to communicate. If I want to talk to, for example, myself, this is how I'll go about it. I am not myself at this point. Probably I'm you, and I want to have a conversation with myself. I would go very deep into extensive research, even if I'm meeting myself for the first time. If I'm a well-known person in the world or in an industry, what industry is that? That's great research. If it's film, for example, that is film, media, content creation, and whatnot, what particulars in that industry do I do? Am I an actress? Do I create content? Am I an influencer? And then these categories should give you, or should give me, an idea of what to talk to when I meet myself. Also, if I'm meeting me for the first time and this is my first meet, I have no idea what I do, I just met and we began talking, the first thing I would do is listen. As I always say, listen is, the quote is right, really. Listen more than you speak. It's a very good quote. I would listen first. Why I am listening first to myself speak, this is such a bad analogy. Wow. Why I am listening first myself speak is so I can get an idea of what to respond within the conversation. Extensive research is always a plus when it comes to communication. If you have the ability to research someone or research an ideology or an experience or an interest of a person before meeting them, I would say do it. It is always a plus. It gives you another advantage of what to talk about when you actually do meet the person. I will also say be careful of what you research about people, because the internet was not made for bad people and there's a lot of fake information out there. Okay, so research, but research right. Yeah, research right. Extensive in this term isn't hyperbolic, so just a few bits and pieces over there. If I was to meet Grace Beverly today, like if I was going to meet her today, right now at this moment, mind you, I've never met her before in my life, I will not talk to her about swimming. I will talk to her about activewear, the activewear industry, because I know she owns a company there. I'm not going to talk to her about her company per se. But I'm going to talk to her about activewear as a whole. I'm going to talk to her about investor relations because I know she's an investor. I'm going to talk to her about planning or journaling because she does that. She has mentioned one or two occasions that she does that. And I'm not just going to say, oh, I heard that you do this and I heard that you do that and I also do it. So no, we want to have a meaningful conversation. So once think of smart questions and smart responses or smart opinions when we are having this conversation. So the questions could be something like, do you think activewear is going to be viable in the next 10 years? Because personally, I'm not very active and I'm Gen Z and we're the current generation. Or I tried planning and I tried a lot of methods. As to try the productivity method, it's honestly really good, but I have a problem with journaling. It's just not working for me. I don't know how you do it. Like, how do you sit and you journal and then you remember to write it every single day or every single point in time? Because I forget where I dropped my pen, I forget where I dropped my book, and sometimes it just feels like a hassle to sit and slow down and think about my day. What do you think of this? Or do you find it also stressful at times? I want to know if I'm the only one indisposed. Or another point of view, maybe you're an investor, so you invest in businesses, I invest in the markets. And I heard you say once or twice that you also dabble in the market. Which do you think is better, the market or investing in like actual companies, like big time companies? Because I'm thinking of branching into that. I don't know. Is it really worth it? Is it worth the risk? Ask questions based off. So asking is there, extensive research is there. I'm listening to her speak. It's more than a one-party conversation because when I ask the question, she's obviously going to answer. We're going to have a conversation about it. So communicating, it's not so difficult per se. And there's no trick to it, mind you. There's no you have to make hand gestures or you have to smile more or you have to brush your hair or you should always brush your teeth, mind you. There's no trick to communicating. Someone who is as quiet as a mouse can communicate a lot better than someone who talks as much as a woodpecker. There is no secret to it. You just got to know when to interject. You have to have discretion. You have to be conscious or aware that it's more than a one person conversation. There are two or more parties. We want to involve as many people as we can when communicating. You also communicate with your body. Body language is a very big part of communication. So you want to make sure you're giving off the right signals. Although some of us, we do it unknowingly. We give that beach resting face. It's a thing. And of course, it exists. That's why it's called a resting face. But once in a while, move your body, make hand gestures, smile, shine your eyes a bit. It does a lot, okay? A very important point that a lot of us don't know is be right for the conversation and not yourself. I understand as a person who loves to communicate that it is very important to pass your points across to the other party, and it's also very important to let them know where you stand on certain topics or certain industries or certain sectors, which is obviously a very wonderful thing. But at the same time, you want to be right for the conversation and not yourself. There are two different scenarios I want to paint in this. First is with the temperaments. We have introverts and extroverts. You as an extrovert talking to an introvert, you want to be right for the conversation. You don't want to overwhelm such a person because then they're going to be like, can you excuse me? And then you'll be wondering, what did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong per se, but he is not, perhaps he's not used to that level of conversation or that level of words flowing out of their mouths. You want to be right for the conversation, not just for yourself. Of course, it's exciting to talk to people. I get excited when I have the opportunity to talk to people. People I know, people that I don't know but I think would be interesting. Obviously, we're excited to talk to people when we see the people that we want to talk to. But sometimes you have to blunt your edges, if I may say. You want to be right for the conversation. The second scenario I want to paint is in the case of professionals and then normal people. When you're talking to professionals, you want to use professional words. That's how you're right for the conversation. When I was in school, I studied physiology and we used medical terms. And when we were giving presentations, my supervisor at the time would say, you have to speak like a physiologist. You can't come here and say, For example, you can come in and say, I want to stretch my hand, or you can come in and say the functionality of a nerve or a vein or an artery. You have to say the mechanism of action of the vein or artery, and you want to say, I want to flex, or I want to extend my hand. Yeah, stretch to extend. I want to extend my hand, I want to flex my hand. I want to extend, I want to flex. Mechanism of actions, you have to use the right words for that setting. In the same way, you have to be right for the setting that you find yourself communicating with. You have to conversate, you have to make yourself right for the conversation. You can't get to a conversation with someone and expect them to automatically conform to how you communicate, especially when you're talking to a group of people. You have to make yourself right for the conversation, not for the conversation to be right for you. So these are two different scenarios in terms of energy levels, where we have introverts and extroverts. You wanna try to match their energy, but at the same time, it's difficult because society puts labels as you talk too much or you talk too little on us, depending on how much we communicate with others, and I understand how difficult that is. The point I'm trying to make is there are some situations or there are some scenarios where you have to make yourself right for the conversation and let the conversation to be right for you, and it doesn't take anything away from you, I assure you. Once that conversation wraps up, you can come back to being yourself. You're not lying, neither are you pretending. You're just suiting the situation, and it's fine. It happens once in a while, sometimes that's how it is, and it is going to be just fine. Finally, I want to add that there is no such thing as perfection when it comes to communication. If you ever think that there are perfect conversationalists out there, there is no such thing. You will flop, you will mess up, you will question, should I have said that? Should I not have said that? Should I have asked that question? Should I not have asked that question? There is no such thing as perfect when it comes to talking, when it comes to conversation, when it comes to communication. It's something that you just have to have in the back of your mind that you will make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. They'll always be fine. You will flop. You will ask a question and everybody will look at you and wonder, what? You will be fine. I assure you, there is no such thing as a perfect communicator. Even speech coaches all go through what we go through on a daily. So do not fear when you're communicating. These are things I learned over the years, not just today. I am a good conversationalist. I'm not perfect, mind you, but I'm quite good. I can hold my ground and I try my best. Okay? So that's where we are. So yeah, go be a great communicator or go learn how to communicate. Be a good conversationalist. I hope to see you one day to talk with you, and I'll see you next week on the Tiny Share Talk.